Okay, here's that truck. I'll do a tour on it real quick. So I'll show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. The first thing I'll point out is that there's no rust on it. It's real rust free. It's got some blemishes, but I think that gives it character and I like it. So I'm gonna shine it up. You can see what I've done already to kind of shine it up, so I think the rest of it will shine up real nice. Has a little bit of collision in this headlight bezel. You can see a little bit more over here. Little clear coat failure and a little ding there in that front corner, as well as some very subtle I guess I don't know if I'd call them dents. They're indentations definitely, and then a crease. The bed side's pretty clean, but a crease right there that I'm gonna try to work out. I'm thinking about actually hiring a PDR guy, a paintless dent repair guy, to see if they can take that out. The trim on this side is missing. It does have the corner, and in the glove box I found the piece that goes right here, and then the piece that covers up this stainless right there. It is also missing the Ram logo on this side, as well as antenna, which is always missing. The windshield has a crack in it, very faint crack, but I'm gonna replace that windshield and also replace the gasket that goes around it. That gasket is what holds the windshield in. Although it's been raining here and I haven't had any leaks inside. The bed is very clean, a little bit of surface rust, but not much. Someone did paint part of the bedside black back here, and I believe they did it just to cover up these few little scratches. But I took that off and I'll repair that properly as opposed to just painting it black. They did the same thing up here, and I think they did that just to keep it from rusting from also same little dents and dings like this. But I'm gonna clean that all off. They did the same thing over here, but they did it all the way out to here, and I've been cleaning it off little by little. So I'll continue cleaning that off, and then I'll clean the whole truck. One thing that I did have an issue with early on, well I shouldn't say early on, right whenever the guy brought it over to me, is that this wheel would not spin. And I found that all of the wheels had wheel spacers. So this little spacer ring, this black portion right here, to space the wheel out to keep it from rubbing on that control arm right up here. Because these wheels are not factory wheels. Every single wheel had it except for the driver's side front. And I believe it's because there was one wheel lug. You cannot see it because these are not the wheel lugs, these are the spacer lugs. But the wheel lugs are actually offset. They're on in here behind the wheel. One of those was stripped out, not allowing you to mount the spacer with all 5 lugs, but just to get the wheel to spin so I could push this around the yard, I stole a spacer. And also because he couldn't get the spacer on, he didn't leave the spacer with the truck, so the spacer was nowhere to be found. I only had 3 spacers out of the 4. So I stole a spacer off of this wheel and moved it over here. And the reason you ask, why do you steal it off this wheel and not this wheel, is because some idiot, I'm guessing the previous owner, decided to put a keyed lug on this for some reason. I don't know why, because I can't imagine anyone's wanting to steal these wheels, so I don't know why you would put a keyed lug here other than just to be an asshole. But yeah, you can see spacer on this side but no spacer on the other side, and that's just for getting this thing to roll in my driveway. However, on the bottom and on the bedside, this thing is very rust free, and that's the true reason I got this. Interior. Really clean floor, really clean headliner. These visors are not ripped or torn, and they'll clean up good. Dashes in pretty good shape. That'll clean up real good. Gauges are all there. Radio is not. He was using some Sirius XM radio adapter for something. And aftermarket steering wheel with a drilled out lock cylinder. You can see that crack a little bit better here. Goes up both ways and then spider webs off. Got the gasket out of that door. I plan on gluing it back in, but even with the gasket out, I didn't get any moisture in this cab the last 3 days it's been raining. Door panels are in pretty good shape. They'll clean up good. All the windows are nice and functional. Wing windows go in and out real nice. No key, no cylinder, but 2 drilled out lock cylinders that don't have a key to them, but no functional ones, I should say. Here's a seat. Alternator I took out because, I'll show you. But here, before we get to engine bay, seat. Nothing really behind here. I did find a piece of that side trim back behind here, and then one in the glove box, but otherwise not much to show. We'll go ahead and release the hood. Okay, now for a lot of what I found wrong with the truck. Okay, so first thing I'll point out is, and this is quite normal from what I've learned in my few weeks of being a Dodge convert, is all of this wire mess. And then he's got, this was worse, but just to kind of see if I could get it popping off, I cleaned up some of these, but these were just wrapped around this, literally not even bolted inside. He had wrapped bare wire around the terminal. Got bare wires and wire nuts all up here, and then doesn't look like any bad mice damage or anything, but then he's got an alternator wire just kind of strapped over here, and what he originally had, I've went ahead and since put an eyelet on here and labeled it so I can reinstall the alternator, but he did just have, well, what he has plenty of, this type of thing going around the alternator. I put an eyelet on there just as a temporary, but yeah, all of the wiring stuff. And there was an oil leak, and the guy that had the truck prior to me, not the person who did this work on it, but just the person who bought it from that person, told me, oh, I think it might be a timing cover. And I go looking around, and it looks fairly clean at timing cover, but what I do see is oil right here in this region. If I were to go right here, and then I decide to pull the dipstick, and this is what I find. Pull dipstick, JB welded. It just all comes out of the, pull it out of the engine. I ended up pulling this piece is still in here. I popped that out of the engine. I'm gonna give myself a replacement dipstick tube and dipstick, but I think that was the source of the leak there. Or at least one of them, we'll see. Who knows? I might be lucky and have 3 or 4. But that was, I believe, the source of that leak. And then he had alternator that he had ran just from the crank, and you can see what it did to our lower radiator hose. So I do believe that this was perhaps an AC car, or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. This was from Arizona, so I assume it was AC, but there's supposed to be another pulley for AC, or either a pulley for the AC delete, of which he had neither. And I know I've heard of people filing down fins on this water pump so that they don't have rubbing issues there, but I would rather just have another idler on it, just to ease my nerves. So those are the issues I found so far up here that I'll have to attend to. Absolutely no coolant at all. And then he also told me, I believe it has a front seal leak. So, and mind you, I want to stress, I don't really care too much about any of this mechanical stuff as long as engine runs, which I knew it did prior to bringing it back to Arizona. I didn't go down to Arizona and look at this myself. I'm in Wisconsin. I just had him send me some videos, and this is a guy I've known for a few years now. He just picked up the truck from the guy, held it in his yard for me, and then brought it back for me. But he told me, I think it has a front seal leak. I said, as long as it shifts in and out of gear. And he says, oh, I think it does, but, you know, we just loaded it onto a dolly. But I was told it did. So I said, you know, I'll take the gamble, bring it back. And I find the dipstick is, well, for one, completely dry, but also I'm not surprised because someone has turned this into a makeshift shiv and cut off the end, or either the end broke off, and I see a little bit of what appears to be like a witness mark to something rubbing or grinding on it. And it says use SE engine oil, which I'm not a Dodge guy. Maybe they use the similar dipstick for engine and trans, but I also wouldn't put it past this person to have fashioned their own dipstick for this trans. I'm just going to leave it in there as a dust cover in the meantime. Well, not doing much dust covering, but onto the underside now. So, see anything missing? I think so. So no exhaust, which I knew ahead of time. But again, I want to remind everyone about that transmission. He said that he thinks it has a seal leak because he saw it dripping. So I decided to jump under here after I get home, and oh, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. It is not a seal leak. More botched repairs. JB welded plug, drain plug. I don't know. I suppose these 727s had drain plugs on them, and I assume that's what's under this scob of JB weld. But still, I don't know that that's the source of the leak. It might be the source of one of the leaks. You say, is it pan gasket? No, not a pan gasket. It could be just a hole drilled in the pan. I think that'll cause a leak. Not, you know, not an expert, but I think that'll cause a leak. Okay, so on to the further issues. Oh, and then you can see where that wheel, the witness points on this wheel, we're rubbing. Not supposed to be a ridge. So it looks like it was filed with a grinding wheel. Okay, so there's that. And then let's move on with our tour. Okay, so next portion of the tour, fuel. Ooh, no, nobody down there. Okay, he says, I think it's pulling from the tank. When I asked him, I said, is it pulling fuel from the tank? He says, I believe it is, because they got it running. Well, that doesn't mean it's pulling full fuel from the tank, but nonetheless, I was very pleased to see it as a plastic tank, but I was not pleased to see one of the straps is not attached for one. That's a little odd. It's empty, so it's easy to repair. I guess it'll look on the bright side, but it's gonna need a tank. Why, you ask? Well, it's got a few holes in it, not just one, not just two, and I did use a poker, and I verified these are all the way through, not just on the surface or anything, all the way through, not just one, not just two. I don't know if he's decided to put a makeshift bong on it, or if this is, I can't imagine they put one from the factory in it, but a bolt right there, and I feel like it's some glue or something around here. Not just one, not just two, but wait, there's more. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes drilled in this thing. Yeah, but the good side is this. Happy about how solid it is, but it's got some work. Not a ton at all. I mean, if I had the money to throw it at all at once, I could have this thing going in a week easily. But the big problem is I'm gonna have to space some of this out. I get too many projects and not enough money. But yeah, that's it. That's the old Ram for us. But look back here. Just no rust. Oh, and this is the only piece of trim missing on this side. The rest of it is here on this side. So that's the truck tour. There's the truck tour. And if anybody's wondering where I'm at with the Nova, still working on it. I just lost motivation for YouTube for a while. Get this thing all scuffed in 180. I get the bulk of my filler work done on my fillers there. and that body line, the little bit of body work I had to do there. And then I started masking it off. I did a little test panel of the color we're going with. Not going with the blue, changed our minds. Going with this reddish maroon color. It's a 67 Nova color, Chevy 2 color, and it is called Madeira Maroon. Ran out of tape in the process of taping this side up, and ran out of tape. Plenty of paper though. Hoping to spray this thing in epoxy here in the next few days where it gets too frigidly cold. Then I can start spraying it high build and then spend the winter blocking. But that's what I'm up to. And that's the new truck. Guys, just wanted to kind of show you what I had going on. Haven't posted in a while. I just kind of lost motivation, and you know it is. Sometimes you just don't feel like YouTubing your work. Sometimes you just feel like working. But yeah, thanks guys. Bye.